Now I look too dark. Hello and good evening. Welcome to you all. I'm very sorry about the lighting. I'm yet again trying to experiment with putting the lighting on a chair. Excuse me for the noise, but right, we have to move the lighting around a little bit. So it doesn't allow you to do anything without playing around. I know I'm wearing an orange shirt, so I look even more like Donald Trump, but no, this is not making much difference, is it? So, good evening to you all. Sorry, I haven't even plugged in my microphone. Very stupid. See, this is what happens when you are stuck in the south of France with all sorts of mad people. You don't focus. And anyway, the microphone. Right, where is it? Let's be having you. You can hear me. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm going to plug it in. So here it is. We're plugged in. I'll just keep it this way for tonight because, quite frankly, anyway, the lighting is even worse when it's up on a level. It's ridiculous, isn't it? No, I don't know how to make the lighting better. Sorry, I could try and make it go over. Let's try it over somewhere else. Just a minute. I'll move something around. Anyway, there's only a few of you here. Well, there is a fair few of you here. So anyway, we'll try. Oops. We'll try putting it here and pointing it towards me. There, that's better. Yes, that works. Now I look like the orange man. Right, okay, we put it on me. There we are. That does work. Okay, it looks awful. I look like I am a tangerine, but pointing at me, and it's not very nice having it pointing at me because I look like I've done this in the studio, in a TV studio before. Right, I better pull it up a bit. And right, okay, right. Well, that'll do. That's okay. That's much better, isn't it? So, right, that's the angle. Okay, right, and we've worked out the angle. I look absolutely revolting because I do happen to be wearing a tangerine shirt, so it doesn't really help, does it? If I was wearing a white shirt, I wouldn't look quite so bad. But cheers to you and cheers to me and cheers to me if we disagree. So, anyway, welcome to you all. Anyway, it's much better now because now you can actually see me. But I do look like I am orange. I could point it downwards. No, that makes it even worse. There we go. I don't mind. Who cares? I don't give a damn about the bloody lighting. I do look like I'm Donald Trump, but so what? It doesn't matter, does it? There we are. Hello to Tina De Silva and Linz and Nicola Mooney and Jules B and Paulie Gaultier. You say hello to Minnie Thatcher. Well, unfortunately, the bird has flown the nest. It's gone on a little walkabout. So I had to let it out so I could water the garden. And, well, it hasn't come back yet. So it'll be back. It's a little pest. It wants its food. So it will be back. But we haven't seen it yet. So when it gets dark, it might return. Who knows? We'll see. The German neighbors don't want it. They definitely want we won the war, not repeated. So anyway, it's not missing. It's just got a walkabout. It does this all the time. So anyway, it will be back. So don't worry about that. Anyway, here you are. There's 50 of you already, and I'm sorry that I look like I'm the color of Donald Trump. And we can talk about a little bit about Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and Gileain later, and Alan Dershowitz. So we will talk about that. But I'd fit in very well on the Isle of Wight Citrus Park. I don't know what the Isle of Wight Citrus Park is, but there we go. I don't know it. So hatchy. There you go. Right. I'm very sorry we didn't get round to having a proper quiz last night, so we'll have a quiz tonight. And we will not go on for too long because, we did go on for an awful long time sitting in the garden last night. But anyway, cheers to you all, and I hope you're having a lovely evening. And welcome. So I've got a glass of wine and a glass of water, and we've had a lovely day out. We've been to the lovely Le Cafe in Saint Tropez, which is a fabulous place to go. We had lovely roast chicken with chips, not roast potatoes, which Madam would have preferred, obviously. But I liked the chips, and we had the delightful green beans and a bottle of wine, and it was all fine. And then we went to visit Le Soub, the Hotel Le Soub, which is a hotel in Saint Tropez, which is packed full of wonderful, glorious models of boats, including a model of the Titanic. And of course, we did a whole evening of the Titanic recently, where I talked about everything I know about the Titanic. And then we met the crew of a boat because there's a regatta going on here currently. And they were the crew of and the owners from California of the yacht Vespa. And I educated them about the word Vespa. Of course, the word Vespa is Old English for evening. They didn't know this. They were all on a crew of a boat, and they didn't know what the word of the boat meant. So I gave them a bit of an education, and we talked about obviously what they knew about, which was obviously Vespa's connection to James Bond by Ian Fleming. Of course, Vespa Lind was one of the characters in one of James Bond's novels. So, and then, of course, there was the Vespa Martini. So, when I went to the Bond premiere, we had the Vespa Martini. So I got to know about that. It's basically a dirty martini. It's a beautiful drink, a lovely thing to have. If you get your chance, have a Vespa Martini. It's a lovely drink. So anyway, I talked to them about that. They didn't they just wanted to drink beer. You can't blame them. They've been out sailing all day long. But they were absolutely lovely people, absolutely charming. The owner was a very nice man. We had a little chat about Orange County and the time I was in the OC, the TV show. I was in it for, blink and you'll miss me, probably 3 seconds. I was in a restaurant scene because when I was in California, they said, "Oh, will you come and sit in a restaurant scene for this thing?" Because the man I was involved with, Maurice, he owned lots of movie stuff, and they said, "Oh, well, will you just come and sit as an extra?" And I said, "Oh, why not?" And I got to eat some good food and sat in a restaurant, and I got filmed, so it was all very well. And then, blink and you'll miss me. I literally was there for 3 seconds. It was a pathetic little scene. But I got to know the cast of the OC, and I loved the program. I know it's a bit, sort of naff, that program. It's a bit like Hollyoaks and Coronation Street, but I was in it for 3 seconds. So there you go. That's the only time I've ever been in a soap opera. So there we go. I was in an American soap opera, so up yours, Dolores. At least I achieved that in my life. Most people don't get to be in a soap opera. I did pull out the cables from Timmy Mallett's little van as well, and you all know that story from before. And my grandmother was very angry with Timmy Mallett when he swore. So Granny Howard didn't know what I'd actually done, but I did try and wreck his TV show. So there we go. Right, okay, so moving on. Have any of you any questions before any more people arrive? We're up to 91 of you, so welcome to you all. Welcome and good evening. Paulie says, every time I get a link for a TikTok video, all I see is a bloody Michael Barrymore link. Well, I'm very, very sorry that you see that, because Michael Barrymore should be banned from every platform. Michael Barrymore is a reprehensible man. 9 people went to a party on the 31st of May, 2001, and 8 of them lived. Michael Barrymore ran away at 5 a.m. after Screams were heard by the neighbour. Sorry, he ran away at 6 a.m. after screams were heard at 5 a.m. The girls present noted that he and the other man, the bin man, the local bin man who was present at the party, emptied drawers and things of certain items, i.e., drugs, clearly. Stuart Lubbock was the father of two innocent children. He went to a party. He met a famous person. He went to a nightclub. He met a famous person. The famous person was obsessed with him because the famous person was a homosexual creep. There's nothing wrong with being homosexual, but this predatory man wanted to have somebody different to his own partner that night. The taxi driver noted that. And they all went to the house and they had a party at the L-shaped bungalow, which was not a mansion. And I hate the way it's always described as a mansion because it's not a mansion. I grew up in a very big house. It was designed by Sir John Soane. That we didn't ever call it a mansion. We just called it a house. It was a house. But everyone calls Michael Barrymore's home a mansion. It was a bloody bungalow in Roydon, Essex. It was not a mansion. I hate misuse of language. I'm very specific about words. I hate people who use the word toilet because it's not a toilet. You may as well be. You are disgusting if you use the word toilet. I hate the misuse of language. It's the lavatory, the bathroom. The Queen would say, I was having a reception. That's the way people talk about it. It's the crapper because it was invented by Sir Thomas Crapper. But never call it the toilet. I hate people who do that. And Michael Barrymore's house was no mansion. It was an L-shaped bungalow, and in the middle was a swimming pool. And he had the swimming pool built. And then he said, well, he couldn't have killed anybody because he didn't use the swimming pool. Well, his wife provided videos of him swimming on a cruise boat. So he's a liar. He's a deceiver. He's rotten and he's wrong. Michael Barrymore is one of the worst people on the planet. Those two children don't have a father. Stuart Lubbock was raped, and then a door handle was used against him, amongst other things, and a pool thermometer, both of which vanished. And then, of course, the neighbours heard the screams at 5 a.m., and at 6 a.m., before the police arrived, Michael Barrymore runs away to hide like the little toad that the little rat is with the bin man. And his agent arrives to clean up the scene. Convenient that, isn't it? And then we've got Michael, we've got Mr. Kenny, who's now supposedly a lorry driver or a truck driver or something. His ex-lover. He's been convicted of assault in the past. Awful, awful people. The Homan family and the Lubbock family have never had justice. Shame on you. And then you go, Michael Barrymore, into the Big Brother house and dress up as Hitler. You dress up as Hitler and you get down on your knees and you worship Jimmy Savile, who has now been proven to be the worst paedophile in British history. Michael Barrymore, you are the most shameful piece of scum on the planet. I'm very sorry, whoever it was that mentioned this, because every time you click into your TikTok, all you see is Michael Barrymore. Well, you shouldn't see Michael Barrymore. Michael Barrymore should be banished from all places ever. It's bad enough that David Beckham's getting a knighthood when he was involved in tax and avoidance. Let's be, if we put it in our kindest sense of the word, not acceptable in 1984, and definitely not acceptable in 2025. I am a campaigner against injustice, and I want Michael Barrymore's group of friends. There are 9 people who went to a party, and 8 of them lived. One of them did the crime, and 3 of them can't have done the crime. So that reduces it by 3 straight away because they were female. It had to be male. By the injuries he sustained, he had to be killed by the males. So either there was somebody else there, unlikely. They are a shameless bunch of creeps. And don't let Michael Barrymore reinvent himself. I'm going to campaign to stop Michael Barrymore forevermore because, the father of Stuart Lubbock, he was such a nice man, and all he wanted was justice. He wanted, before he died, to know who killed his son. And we never got there. And it's so sad. And I find all these kind of things sad. But meanwhile, on a more positive note, today, the magazine The Critic, I was sent an article about Martin Ellis Jones, my friend who died. And they've written the most lovely article. Christopher Pincher, I don't know Mr. Pincher, but I've read things he's written before. He's probably a bit more right-wing than I am. But it was a lovely article, a tribute to Martin Ellis Jones. He was the best man in top hats. Everybody needed a hat for a wedding or at Royal Ascot. He had 5,000 of them in his little flat in Walpole Street, Chelsea. And what an amazing little emporium he ran. Okay, he was completely mad. He was completely off his rocker. But we always had jolly lunches and drinks and things at the Brasserie, the Ivy, wherever else we went. And Martin was a bon vivant, and he added colour to the world. He was totally nuts. I remember once he got completely drunk and he was dragged out of the Masterpiece Arts Fair, covered in red wine, his white suit ruined. He could get out of control, but he added colour, and he was spice. And as the wonderful Liz Brewer says, at a party, you need sugar and spice. You need a mixture of people at a party. You don't want the boring people. And I can tell you, if you had Martin Ellis Jones at your party, you never know. You'd never know what he was going to do next. He was a total liability. But he was wonderful. And I'm very sorry about the way he died and how everybody forgot about him, because a bon vivant who was forgotten because he moved to Cheltenham and life changed. And I've been having terrible nightmares about this, and it's been upsetting me awfully. But he is a wonderful man, and let's celebrate his life. And I say, well done to this man, Christopher Pincher, or whatever his name is, who I don't know. It was a lovely article, and well done. Thank you for writing such a lovely article, because everybody who read it, that I've sent it to, who knew Martin, has said, what a lovely tribute. And that's a nice thing. We should all be more positive about, this should make you think. Your neighbor, check on them. Your lonely neighbor, don't leave them alone. Because poor Martin was forgotten about by the end, because he'd moved to Cheltenham and he was forgotten about. Check on your neighbor, because you never know what might happen. Keep in touch. This is stories of the people in East London who, there was a woman in East London, and the neighbours started to complain. They said they had smells coming through the walls and all the rest of it. Well, the council said, well, that's not our problem, even though it was a council estate. And 3 months later, the smell was so bad that the council actually went and kicked in the door, basically. And of course, there was a body that had rotted. So we must think about, people and try and help people. Always try and help your neighbour. Don't forget about your elderly neighbour. It's important. So please be kind. I think that's a good thing. It's a good lesson to learn from Martin's situation is that it's time to be kinder to people. And I'm really upset about what's happened to him because, nobody cared. Nobody cared because he didn't have children. So he had no family. So there we go. Right. Elderly people are forgotten about, sadly. It's just a sad part of life, says David. Well, it is a sad part of life, but let's change it. I think there should be some kind of way forward here. I think we all must think a little better and try and help those who need to be helped. So that's a good thing. Right. You've kept your door open for the sake of my dog, says Hatchy Hatchy. You've had a power cut. Okay. Well, I'm very sorry to hear that. I'm surprised you're able to use the internet then if you've had a power cut for 24 hours. Anyway, never mind. Anyway, I hope you get your power cut sorted out. Right. But no, I really do think we must be more caring towards people. It's not fair that we treat people who are elderly in this way. It's not nice. He didn't have any children, so he had a brother, but the brother only cared about the money, clearly. He had a business partner who only cared about the business, clearly. So, we know what went on there. So I won't say any more about that, but poor man. Anyway, the Critic did a wonderful article. I'm going to give you the article. Let's find it. You can read it yourselves. If I can copy it, let's try. I'll give it a go. I'll give it a go. I don't know if I'm clicking the right thing. Right, okay, I'll try giving the article on Martin Ellis Jones. So I hope you read it. And there we go. I've given you the articles, so it's there. Right, next question. Any more questions? Before we move along to another topic. Right, okay. Have I had a good day? Yes, we've had a perfectly lovely day. We're in Saint-Tropez. Yes, we've had a lovely lunch. I've said this already, but there we are. But Jane O'Keefe, thank you for your kind remark. Right. Okay. Any more questions on what topics would you like me to talk about this evening? Any questions? What do I think of Noel Edmonds? Noel Edmonds is one of the most revolting people I've ever come across. Absolutely awful. One of my parents' neighbours, who were farmers, they were Conservative councillors in Lancashire. They opened the Blobby theme park in Morecambe, Lancashire. It was one of the biggest political scandals you could ever imagine with Noel Edmonds. Noel Edmonds is a very, very strange man. He's a weirdo. Everything he ever touches goes wrong. He's just a freak. Don't like Noel Edmonds. No. He's been abducted, has he? What do I think about the Elm Guest House and Dolphin Square? Well, I've spoken about that at length on other occasions. Obviously, the abusers there were VIP politicians and, all sorts of other people. Kitty, good old Kitty is linked, and etc., etc. So the Elm Guest House scandal in Dolphin Square. Dolphin Square is like the worst place that the VIP abuse occurred in that period. So I know everything about that. And once these people die, they will, they might bring out a bit more of it. Obviously, they brought out a bit of it to start with, but not enough yet. So there we go. I can't say any more. Wits End went to the Blobby film park, the Blobby theme park. Well, I never actually visited it, but our neighbours were the ones involved in it, so they made a lot of money out of it, and shame on them. Put it this way, my mother and father are no longer in touch with those former neighbours of ours, put it that way, because we were ashamed. And they also bought a hotel in Morecambe in Lancashire called the Midland Hotel, which had Eric Gill sculptures. And the Eric Gill sculptures vanished from a listed building, and that was pretty shameful as well. So, you know, the councillor was a bit of a naughty woman, let's be honest. I'm not going to name and shame her because, she was our neighbour and I was friends with her son who was a disabled child. So I'm not going to be nasty, but honestly, shame on her. Stealing grade 1 listed statues from a building and flogging them wasn't a very good idea, was it, Diane? That's the only word I'll give. Anyway, I was horrified by what she did to it. And then some other people I knew came along and they bought the hotel and they renovated it. And it was in, Hercule Poirot and all the rest of it. It was one of the most iconic buildings. And it had the Eric Gill sculpture. Now, Eric Gill is, of course, a man who everybody hates because he was a paedophile as well. So, his sculptures on the BBC building and Aldwych were attacked recently. We had a little discussion at our lunch the other day about historic revisionist with my Dutch friends at the lovely house in the Gare Freinet. Yeah. It's better just to put a sticker on it and say context. This man did a bit of good and this man did a lot of bad. That's the better way of explaining bad people. I don't think you need to go around tearing down bits of history. History is history. Leave it alone. So I'm really not into this wokery. Again, the wokery strikes. Absolutely stupid. Okay. Eric Gill, right. You don't like him. He abused his daughter and the family dog. You want the statue taken down. Well, no, I don't want the statue. I actually disagree with you. I don't want the statue taken down. I'd rather there be a sticker put on the statue saying historical context. Why do we need to remove history? I realize he was a talented artist, but he was a nasty man. Doesn't mean you need to pull down his statue that he made. It was not a statue of him, by the way. It was a statue he made. So seriously, no, don't agree with you. You're totally wrong, in my view. But you're welcome to your opinion, and I'm not taking it away from you. You have your right to your opinion. But no. Jane Hennessy, it should be taken down. He was a monster. You don't like the playing of Gary Glitter records? Well, you don't have to listen either. And I don't have to listen. So, just turn it off when it comes on. You don't have to listen, do you? Right. Okay. I'm quite surprised at some of you. Some of you are rather reactionary on this topic. But anyway, you're entitled to have your opinions, and I'm very respectful of the right. If you don't like it, you don't like it. These people are evil. I will agree with you. But I will say this. I don't see the point of being revisionist. Revisionist does not change what happened. It still happened. So what do you achieve by saying, oh, well, we can't have it. We want anything to do with it. Well, it still happened. Still part of history. I think you really need to think a little more carefully. But it's your choice. I don't mind, and I'm not going to argue with you. You're entitled to your views, but I don't agree with you. There we go. I'm just me, myself, and I happen to have very direct opinions on every topic that I ever get involved in. Um, it's either a yes or a no. I'm not John Major. I don't do grey. I don't do beige, as they say, of food. I'm not. I don't do any of the middle area. It's yes or no with me. So I'll give you my honest opinion, and you might not like it. Well, if you don't like it, you have the right to bog off, don't you? So if you do like it, you have the right to stay. Or but equally, if you want to be in the middle, it's absolutely up to you. You're very welcome. I don't have a problem with other people's views. You are welcome to have your own views on this channel. We are not about saying left or right or wrong or whatever. Um, be yourself. But seriously, um, I'm not being nasty. I'm just telling you what I feel. And I'm entitled to my opinions, and I'm not going to change my opinions. And well, there we go. I'll just say what I think. Right. Okay. Okay. Right. How many girlfriends have I had? A few. That's the answer. I'm not going to be specific because I can't remember. Right. What do I think of Gary Glitter? Well, you know what I think of Gary Glitter. Awful, evil paedophile. He belongs in the clique. Right. Right. Okay. Next question. Sorry, I'm getting all these notifications. Leslie S says, I admire your outspokenness, even if I don't agree all the time. Well, you don't have to agree with me, and I don't have to agree with you, do I? We're welcome to have differing opinions. Alternative views are always available. So there we are. What were Lord Boothby's links to Kitty? Well, of course, at 1 Eaton Square, which is a property, of course, which my family have links to also, which we hated the blue plaque for Lord Boothby being on, and I think the plaque should be removed. I don't think we should have a plaque to a paedophile. Let's have that plaque torn down. Perhaps I should start a petition for the removal of the plaque to Lord Boothby at 1 Eaton Square because, it was a horrible thing to look at whenever we arrived there. And I don't like the plaque because obviously, my connections with the building were different. And why should there be a plaque to a paedophile on the building? So let's have the plaque removed. In fact, I shall start a petition on that subject next. Once I have a new computer, I'll start a petition to have the blue plaque removed to Lord Boothby, because Lord Boothby and the Crays were a pair of paedophiles who did awful things. So, no, I want that removed. So I want that removed. I'm going to start that, and maybe I can achieve that because my friend Lloyd Grossman, good old Lloyd, he of the Through the Keyhole and all the rest of it. He is the chairman of the Blue Plaques, so I could ask him actually. Good idea. You've given me an idea. I'm always thinking of new schemes. I'm a bit of a troublemaker, is old me. So yeah, I'm onto this. Right. Well, I want that blue plaque removed. I don't know if there is a process for removing them. There probably isn't. You probably can't remove a blue plaque. It's probably been there forever. So probably I'll fail. But I'll ask Lloyd what he has to say. So I'll send him a message tomorrow morning. Right. Remind me if I don't do it. But anyway, Lloyd Grossman is one of the most wonderful people on the planet. Absolutely fabulous. We meet once now and again. He's he's superb. What a great gentleman. The pasta sauces was his huge success. And what an achiever. What a brilliant businessman. His accent is rather stuck in the middle of the Atlantic, and that's what I always joke with him about. I joke about his stupid voice, but he is fun. I love Lloyd Grossman, and he's one of the best. So he was married to Lord Putnam's daughter. He's now married to an aristocrat. Life moves on. But he's a lovely friend. So what an achiever. What a brilliant man. Well done to Lloyd Grossman. I love celebrating people because in the world, all we talk about is negativity. And here's an achiever. So cheers to Lloyd. Great man. I do actually like celebrate. I actually prefer to talk when I get the opportunity to say someone's great and they've done something good. I hate talking about negativity. It's boring. But when someone's done something good, but Lloyd has he changed hospital food. He tried to do that. He was brought in to do that 10 years ago. Obviously, it got worse afterwards. But when he was brought in, the hospital food got better for a while, and then obviously it went backward downhill. But he did try, and he does the Master Chef and all the rest of it. And what a great guy! What a brilliant man! The blue plaques. He's in a rock band. He does his sauces. Superb. Absolute achiever. Well done to Lloyd Grossman. What a great bloke. Superb. Right. Okay. I don't know what you think of Lloyd Grossman, but it seems hospital food is tasteless. Well, that's not because of Lloyd, because he did it about 10 years ago, so he went downhill after that. He did try. Have I had a nice Sunday lunch? Yes, we did have a nice Sunday lunch. We went to Le Café in Saint-Tropez. I've already said this, but it was a delightful Sunday lunch, and we had a lovely time. The staff there are superb. We love Le Café Saint-Tropez. If you happen to be in Saint-Tropez, go to there. We would have gone to Le Salon, but they don't take Amex, and unfortunately, we have a problem with a bank card at the moment. So we wanted to pay with Amex, and thus we went to this place. And well, it was lovely. And then we visited Hotel Sub. Hotel Sub is a lovely place, and it has a model of the Titanic, so we love it there too. And we met the crew of the Vespa yacht, the racing yacht. So there we go. We all had the same thing. We had a roast chicken. And since we came back to the house, we've had a prawn cocktail. So there we go. It's been very nice. It's been very nice. Twice, spice and a bit of extra. So we've had a lovely afternoon, and there we are. How the other half live? Well, a prawn cocktail doesn't cost much to make. You can buy a packet of prawns for €6, and you can mix up a bit of tomato ketchup, mayonnaise, a bit of cayenne pepper. We didn't have sherry, which is a very unfortunate thing. I really could do with a bottle of sherry, but I can't find it in the supermarket. I don't know. Sherry would really improve it. Worcester sauce, some Tabasco, some salt, some pepper. What else do I throw in? Goodness me. Obviously, we have iceberg lettuce, and we have tomatoes, and we make it into a lovely, lovely little dish. And it's a very simple thing, is a prawn cocktail. Okay, it's a bit stuck in the 1970s, and some people may say it's a bit naff, but what's wrong with food that people actually enjoy? Let's have food that we enjoy. I'd love to have a steak Diane. I haven't had one of those in years. So it's about time to have one of those. So there we go. Um, I love simple dishes. It's easy peasy to have a simple dish. But a prawn cocktail is absolutely famous. And I love fish finger sandwiches. And I'm in the mood for one of those right now. Maybe after I finish this program, I might even have a fish finger sandwich. But I won't make the sauce, which I normally make. But I could have a distilled fish finger sandwich. I do love a fish finger. Simple food is the best. We don't need caviar every day of the week. And we don't need turbot every day of the week or Dover sole. I love a bit of Dover sole. Absolutely lovely thing to have. It's fabulous to eat good food. And I'm surrounded by one, my friend Rex sent me a menu the other day from the party of Anthony Worrell Thompson. And I know you've all gone on about how you shoplifter and all that. But Anthony's actually a lovely man. Okay, he had a bit of a problem and things went a bit mad. But anyway, wonderful food is fabulous. I love the cooking of Jacques Pepin, who I was on the TV set with in California. I loved the cooking of Gary Rhodes, who I never actually met. I loved all the black pudding and all the rest because I absolutely adore black pudding. I've got this thing for black pudding, and I know this lady in Northern Ireland. She makes white pudding as well as black pudding. Fabulous. I was so fascinated to learn her story when I met her. I love all sorts of cooking. Weirdly, I'm into everything other than artichoke. I can't eat artichoke. That's the one thing I hate. Can't stand it. The smell of it, the taste of it is slimy and it's disgusting. I don't know. I just can't have artichoke. Anything else, I will experiment with. I will try anything, but never again artichoke. I will never eat again in my life. Oh, and snails. I can't have snails because I got poisoned by those things in a restaurant once because they were full of soil. So that made me vomit, and I've no idea. I love oysters. Oh, I absolutely adore oysters, but I can't have snails. So artichokes and snails, no thanks. Won't be for me. But I love good food, and it's absolutely great to see people experimenting. But I like traditional things. So give me some fish fingers. Give me a cheese toasty. I've got a lovely recipe here for a cheese toasty, and I'm going to make it. It's cheese toasty with a bit of onion and da da da. Min can't have the onion, but I will be having the onion. She can have it without the onion. So we might have that tomorrow, maybe. I think that could be a good Monday lunchtime snack. I think that could be because we've got loads of cheese that needs using up. So we'll try that out. Yeah, I'm quite into any kind of food. I'm a real foodie. But I love a prawn cocktail, of course. Prawn cocktail, roast chicken, and my friend came round and he said, I have never had a roast chicken like this before. Well, I stuffed the chicken with lemon and onion, and that's all I do. And I didn't do anything special. And he said, this is unbelievable. Well, there you go. He liked it. I don't know what was so good about it, but it was moist, I suppose. And I pour a load of white wine in, obviously. That's the best part of it, I suppose. But you've got to keep the chicken moist. And when you cook duck, you keep it dry. Keep the duck dry. You have to keep the duck very dry. So I'm not trying to be Delia Smith here, but I'm giving a few cooking tips. Okay, let's move on to a different topic. Any more questions? Any more questions? Having this light pointing in my face is rather irritating, but I'm coping with it. It's like being back in a TV studio, but it's like having the light of the TV studio 5 centimeters away from you, whereas I normally have it like 50 meters away from me. So I'm rather getting hot. So if I'm looking like the sweating pig, it's because this light is a little close, but I don't know what to do. What do I most miss about the UK? Mini cheddars. I need some mini cheddars. I believe my friends who have arrived have brought some mini cheddars, so I'm going to get some. I've still got Yorkshire tea, and it's very, very kind of all of you who've said you'll send some books. So tomorrow morning, I will reply to all your emails and give the address to send the books. That's very, very extremely kind of you. Books are very hard to find here because there is a bookstall at the market selling English books, but they are just the most boring books that I would never even want to read. And they charge £10 a book. And, quite frankly, £10 a book for a book that isn't even worth reading is just not worth the money, is it? So I'd rather not read that. We always get the newspapers every day. But if any of you have any books that you don't want, please send us your books. We'd love the books. And Lady Min loves to read. What kind of stories, Lady Min?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of books would you like to read?
Wilbur Smith.
She'd like a Wilbur Smith. So if any of you got a spare Wilbur Smith, if you can send a Wilbur Smith this way, she'd like to read a Wilbur Smith. Quite frankly, there are plenty of other books that she could read.
He's my friend.
Well, he was her friend, and he was my friend too. But there are plenty of other books she can try and read. But Wilbur Smith would be what she would like. So if any of you have a spare Wilbur Smith you want to send this way to the south of France, please send me an email, editorial@thesteepletimes.com, and it would be very kind because a secondhand book would be really very helpful to keep her entertained. Okay. Giles Harry has sent you the Giles Brandreth book. Yes, he did. He was wonderful. The Giles Brandreth book has been a wonderful joy, and thank you to him. And, we've already spoken of that. Right, you'd like some Mills and Boons for Lady Min. You're going to get some Mills and Boons. Right, okay. Miss Marple, okay. Well, a bit of Agatha Christie would be absolutely wonderful. We'd love some Agatha Christie books. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. When is my 90 days up? Well, we have a situation, so that is how we're dealing with that. And we have to deal with the situation. And that's something but tomorrow is a bank holiday here. So we will see what happens on the bank holiday. Bank holiday is a problem. As usual, there's always a bank holiday here. Right. Okay. So, have I ever drunk in a Wetherspoons? Yes, I've been to a Wetherspoons, Victoria Station. Yes. And I have had lunch with Tim Martin at his very own home in Exeter. I don't like the man. I don't like his attitudes. But what a greatly successful businessman. Well done to him. Doesn't mean I have to like him, though, does it? So no, right. Mary says my smile is quite charming. That's very kind of you to say, Mary. Thank you, Mary. That's very nice of you to say. But I don't know why you're saying it because I'm not that charming. I'm just me, myself, and I. So I'll just carry on. But I'm sure you're a lovely lady, Mary. And I say cheers to you, Mary. Yes. here's the end of this drink, and there we go. Tina De Silva says, "You are charming." That's very nice of you to say. Thank you, Tina De Silva. That's very kind of you to say. Ooh, well, there we are. Right. Right. The Blue Nomad says Miss Marple will be rightfully jealous. Well, I did watch the At Bertram's Hotel this evening. Yesterday evening, after I went to sleep because I couldn't really sleep. So, as usual, I have problems sleeping because I'm thinking about things and my dead friends and all the rest of it. And I did watch At Bertram's Hotel. It's an interesting thing that you start to think. I have lovely eyes. Oh dear. Well, oh my! I think it might just be the lighting, dear. Thank you very much. I look more like bloody Donald Trump by the minute. I'm looking like the Tangerine Man. It doesn't help that I'm wearing the orange shirt because now I've pointed this thing this way. Ooh, gosh. Oh, see, now it looks every angle. Oh, now I look even worse. Right, okay, I think there we go. Now I look like I've blown up. Oh dear. Anyway, never mind, it doesn't matter. Right. Okay. I'm a babe magnet. Oh my goodness, that's a bit sexual. Right. You're Tangerine Man. Okay. Right. Well, at least I'm not Donald Trump. Right. Is it worth seeing at Bertram's Hotel? Well, you can watch it on YouTube, so I recommend you watch. It was filmed in 1987. It's a lovely little program. It's a little bit complicated, and some of it's a bit far-fetched, but it's not one of Agatha Christie's best. Tonight, maybe I'll watch a different one, because to send me to sleep, I love Miss Marple. I first watched Miss Marple with Margaret Thatcher, of all people, and I have to say, I love Miss Marple. And, you know, the original series, fabulous. I would never watch the remakes. The remakes are rubbish. I've seen one and I hated it so much that I turned it off. I will not be watching any remakes. Joan Hickson is the only person who can ever be Miss Marple because she just plays it like the class act that she is. Joan Hickson is simply the best in all of the West. She is the achiever. She's the brilliance. There is nothing quite like Joan Hickson. So if you want to watch Miss Marple, go on the YouTube and begin, okay, with At Bertram's Hotel if you want, or something else, another one of them. But that's just the one I watched last night. That was the only reason I'm just talking about it. I just happened to watch it because it sent me to sleep. And I needed something to send me to sleep, and it did help. But I did watch it, and then I finished watching it this morning. So, because it was 2 hours long, so it was a long program. And of course, I love Lovejoy. Lovejoy is one of the best, as well as Howard's Way. I love classics, good old classics. So there we are. What do I think of Murder, She Wrote? It was all right, but it's not really my favorite thing. Margaret Thatcher was a good woman. Yes, well, she wasn't a good woman, downs up. She was a superlative woman. Margaret Thatcher was the best woman on the bloody planet. She was a heroine. I know many people won't agree with me, but I love Margaret. Margaret was the woman who changed the world. She wasn't a woman. She was a lady who changed the world. Oh. She was simply the best. She was the best in all of the West. So we can't have anything other than fabulous things. Right, okay, you don't like me saying about Margaret Thatcher. Okay, here we go. Oh dear. Yes, poor Lady Min still has the awful cough. Yes, I did point this out to her earlier. I'm sorry, she's going to have to go and see the doctor again anyway about something else, but she's definitely got the cough still. So we're going to have to give her some of those lozenges for her throat because you are all observing the coughing. The audience is observing your coughing, so
Well,
they think that you're ill because of the coughing, precisely. Anyway, yes, so the coughing is not a good thing for her. But anyway, what did I think about Columbo? No, not for me. Wasn't interested in Columbo. Right, Jonathan Creek, not interested in that. Downton Abbey, well, I know the man who wrote it, and yes, it had its moments, but it's not my favorite thing. But I do like Julian, very nice man, and his wife, very nice people, and his son, they're very pleasant people. Do I do any dirty jokes? I'm not really into jokes. I'm useless at jokes. I never remember the punchline, so I'm terribly sorry. I can't give you a dirty joke. Right. Give my love to Lady Min because she sounds like she's not well. Right. Okay. That's Keely. Keely gives you her love. She's now pretending she can't hear. Of course she can. Right. Yes. Well, I'm very sorry. Yes, she has been making an awful, strange noise, and I did comment on it earlier. Yes, we love Lady Min, says Sebastian. Okay, right. They're all sending you their love and best wishes, and they all think you have a cough. Right, but she's not listening. She doesn't want to listen to that. So, anyway, she can be rather stubborn at times, as we know. Right, okay. Nicola also, right, okay. Anyway, right, okay. We've been going for an hour now. It's 21:05. Here we are. Right. Cheers to you all. You can't have a show with her. No, that won't work. Not going to happen. So, no, Scott, no, you're not having that. It's my show and it's my thing. Right. Okay. Right. So, okay. Well, there's 167 of you at least here. And Gileain is trying to appeal. What do you think of Gileain trying to get a pardon? Do you think Gileain should deserve a pardon, or do you think Gileain should remain in the clink? Gileain Maxwell. As Miss Marple says, she's not appealing. What are your thoughts on Gileain Maxwell's latest attempt and Alan Dershowitz, who is trying to get Gileain a pardon, presidential pardon? Leslie S. says Gileain is in for life. She will never get out. She's locked up for life, says Jane O'Keefe. Elaine Bain says, I don't believe she deserves a pardon. She won't get it regardless of my thoughts, says Jules B. Sebastian says she'll be out soon. The Blue Nomad says keep her locked up. Nicola Mooney says keep her locked up. Lewis Petzold says garbage humans. Bobby Scooby says I pray she's in for life. Rose says, Donald, I assume Donald Trump doesn't want to keep talking. Jane Hennessy says, remain in jail, as should a lot of men at the top. She deserves the same as Epstein, says Sun 84888. Bobby Scooby says, isn't that funny that he's the one trying to get her pardoned since he was the one accused by Virginia? Well, Virginia is, of course, dead, allegedly. Some of my friends believe Virginia is not dead, and all the rest. I don't buy into conspiracy theories. I think Virginia died, but it was a tragic situation. Gileain knows too much, says Nicola Mooney. TMTB says she's a lost cause. She's forgotten. She's taken the fall. How many years did she get? Asks Miss Marple. Well, it was 20 years. Right. The Mirror reported a stupid theory that a couple of tourists ran over Madeleine McCann whilst drunk. Well, that's a different matter. Keely, thank you, but thank you for bringing it up. But it's a load of rubbish. It's not a load of nonsense. And they also reported that Gileain Maxwell might be the woman in the picture because the woman in the picture looks like Gileain. Plenty of newspapers have done that over the years. So Gileain is not the killer, but I really don't think, of Madeleine McCann. So anyway, there we go. Right. How is the baby bird? Okay, the baby bird is... it went on walkabout earlier because I had to let it out because I had to water the garden. And, well, it'll come back when it wants to, and we'll see what happens. So when it gets dark, I'm sure it'll be back. It comes back. There we go. So have we any more questions on the topic of Gileain Maxwell? No. She was a spy, says Rose. Alfie's mum says bye-bye birdie. Well, I don't think so. It'll be back. It comes back all the time. It always comes back when it wants a bit of food. When it wants a bit of nosh. It's got plenty of water outside. It's got its Pellegrino and it's got its chicken soup. The neighbours want to kill it, of course. The Germans, of course, they don't like it. Gileain's sentence was 20 years. I've already said that. I don't need to keep repeating myself. So anyway, but I don't know why I get this. The baby bird is just exploring, says Jane Hennessy. Thank you, Jane Hennessy. Yes, I agree with you. It's got to go and get a life, hasn't it? It's time it flew away. I'm like a bird. I flew away. I don't know what the song is. Nelly Furtado. Nelly Furtado. I should play the music to it, shouldn't I? Nelly Furtado. I think I should play it, a bit of Nelly Furtado. Then it might clear off. That would be a good idea. Might get rid of it. So it can't fly, no. And it can't go in the water, because if it goes in the water, it will die, because the seagulls will kill it. They've already tried to kill it on the land, so I've looked after it. But the little thing has a little shelter here under our little thing next to our hosepipe, and it can shelter there, but I tried to pen it in, and, well, you can't pen things in forever, so I had to let it out this afternoon when I went out. Do I do karaoke? No, I'm not into karaoke. I've never done that in my life. I'm used to probably absolutely appalling. Right, okay. Gileain was a madame. No, I'd say she was a mucky madame. That's the truth, Leslie. You love the birds flying behind me, Bobby Scooby. Yeah, well, there's loads of birds, but they're all out there to kill the little birds, so we don't love them. We love the little bird. Barrymore is a despicable person, says Fluffy Bunny. Totally agree with you. Michael Barrymore is one of the most repugnant people. Okay, right. Next question. Where are the Germans today? Well, they were sitting on the dock when I came back, and that's why the little bird isn't here, because they've scared it off. So maybe they kicked the little bird into the sea or something, but I don't know. I don't trust them. Not very nice. It's not very nice to attack a little bird, is it? Right. I think it could be outside. I may have to I may have to make a little interlude. I may have to pause for a moment because I think it could be at the front door. I may have to let it back in. Let me just go and check. I'm very, very sorry. I'm going to have to pause this program for one moment. I'm going to pause for one moment. I could be completely insane, so please don't think I'm being insane, but I'm going to just have a quick look. So I'm going to put the microphone down and I'm going to go outside because unfortunately I think it could be outside. Right. Oh God. I think it might.